to the multitude of thy tender mercies. Blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee only have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou
We
judgest.
should be dead, yeah. All of the stuff that we did. Wondering how you forgive. Swimming in all of these sins. Have mercy on your kids. We ain't really know why we should leave. We was told to total opposite. The water out, but none that we can see. Thank you for waking us up at the end. Dang love, I don't know what it is. Could've kept us dwelling in our sin. Thank you, Moxie, how we could repent. Coming back to the old covenant. Never know when he coming again. When he coming to spin. Everybody that caught in sin. Fire and temptation, I hope that you win. Let it go, let it blow.
Hey, I'm glad that he made a way. I'm so thankful and so glad that he made a way. Let's give all praises be to the Father Yahweh. Once again, all praises be to our Father Yahweh and his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. Shalawam Ahchyam out there, all the Ahchwathyam out there, and everybody that's tuning in. Make sure to hit the like, subscribe, and share button. We got a good one here today that's going to be going into violence. Violence. That's what we're going to be talking about, right? We're going to even be talking about the people that don't believe, which are unbelievers, and we're going to be talking about within the nation of Israel, Israelites that are allowing for violence to come upon the nation, amongst the brethren, the Akim, in the Ahchwathyam. It's so much hate, violence, and wrath within the nation. And we just wanted to kind of reach out and speak out about that this day. So once again, thank you, the water, for tuning in. I'm Brother Yakwahaya out of Victorville, California. And we have our other brother, Philip. Introduce yourself, brother.
Hey, Shalawam family. Pray all is well. First of all, I'd like to say all praise to the Most High for allowing me to even be here on this platform with my brother, my Ak. And again, just like you just said a minute ago, we're just going to go ahead and touch up on the violence that is still present in today's time amongst Israel, right? Amongst Yasharallah. So again, grab your pens, your notebooks, and take notes, right? This is a very important lesson. This is something that you can watch over time after time and be able to edify your own brothers and sisters to prevent this, right? To clean up the community, as they would say.
Gone. And we definitely need it. I mean, we're going to go right into it to a couple videos, and we're going to show here that just what's going on in the world, the things that are happening, especially to our children, the young people out here in the world. It's affecting them so much that they don't have no leadership, no role models, nothing to grasp or hold on to. It reminds me of the scripture that I read yesterday where it said we were in the world without any hope, that we didn't have no hope. We didn't have the promise. We didn't know about the promise of the covenant. We was without the Most High. We was without his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. And when we look at our children out there, and I say our children because maybe they're not in the truth, but they still are our children because the Most High tell us to do what? Take care of the fatherless. And most of those youngsters out there, male and female, they are fatherless, right? A lot of those households do not have a male figure in their house. I'm not saying all, but I'm saying a lot of them don't have a male dominant figure in the house that's really stepping up to show them how to become a young man, how a young woman should conduct herself, and the things about life in a real way, in a real manner. So these type of things really need to be had, and I'm so glad that the brother Philip decided to do something on this. Go ahead, brother Philip.
Right, and just to touch on that as well, even if there is a male presence in the household itself, there is a good portion of times a lack of understanding of the scriptures, right? So the things that we should know, right, in the scriptures, there's a lack of information in that household, right? So even if there is a male presence, the understanding of the scriptures or how to behave or things like that are not present.
Gone. I always like to say, you haven't became a man or become a man until you actually subjected yourself to the Most High, until you know what it is to walk in his ways, in his laws, and in his statutes, then and only then have you truly became a man, because you know what it is to be a man. You know what it is to put your own body under subjection, and that's what the scriptures encourage us to do, to take hold of what your own body, and don't walk in the flesh but walk in the spirit, which is, I almost want to say, it's so hard to do because we live in the flesh. So it's like you're actually living in something, but through the scriptures it tells us don't live in that. And it makes me think about Nicodemus, and he said, well, what do we do? In John chapter 3, when Nicodemus said, well, how can we be born again? Do we crawl back into our mother's womb? Like, he wasn't understanding the spiritual essence of what Hamashiach was talking about, to where he was looking at it in a fleshly type of thing. And a lot of people within the world today, that's how they look at it, and we have to start understanding and looking at this thing in a spiritual aspect, that we have a spirit within us, and we need to nurture it, we need to feed it, we need to take care of it, because that's what lives forever, not the body. That it's so crazy that we'll worry about the thing that doesn't live forever, that's not going to carry you far. It has a timeline. We'll worry about that, but we won't worry about the thing that's going to live forever and live for eternity. We don't feed that. We don't give that what it needs. So our mindset is completely off. And we can see that, like you said, through the children, even if it's a man there or not a man. It's even worse if a man is not there. But like you said, even if a man is there and he's not showing them the things that truly need to be done, he's not showing them the light, then what good is that man there? So yeah, that's true. That's very true. So you ready to go into these videos?
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
Let's get it on. The first one I'm gonna show is about a young brother of ours, Issachar brother. Maybe you can introduce this one because you know a little bit more about the situation at hand.
Right. So before we play the video, just to give a little bit of a backdrop, this event took place, I would say, around November. So more or less, we're now what? December, January, February, March, almost 5 months in, and this shooting took place out here in Bakersfield, right? And it was between two young men. Even to this day, the case has not been solved. They still don't know what happened. There was no footage to show what actually took place. But more or less, a death took place, right? Between two young men that the only thing they can tie together between them is that they went to school together, right? So this is unfortunately the picture of the one who did the shooting and committed the murder itself. And the footage of, or the picture of the young man who passed away, they didn't put it on here, but for the most part, this image that you're looking at is the culprit at this point.
Oh, Salakia, before let me stop sharing that. Before I actually show that, I do want to show this because it's important that I show this. Let me just show this real quick. The fair use, right? And the reason I want to show this is because we're doing this, but we're doing this under what? It's a fair use, meaning we can use the information that's being presented. Why? Because we're using it in a way, as it says right here, the copyright disclaimer under section 107 of the copyright, right, allows what? The allowance is made for the fair use of the purpose, such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research, right? So all these things that are under this, we can use it. And right now we are teaching and we're basically reporting on the violence that's going on in the world. So I just wanted to show that fair use, right? To know that we can use it. Salakia for that. And now I'll go ahead and bring that picture back up of our young Issachar brother that was going through these things. Now, the picture that you see on the screen, is this the victim, Ak?
No, it's actually the shooter himself.
Oh, this is the shooter, man.
Right,
15, so young, man. Look at that. You know, so young. That's a sad situation. And you
right.
said this was in Bakersfield, California, right?
Yes, sir. It's out there in the Edwards Theater, the area out there in Stockdale. For those who know, for those who are in Bakersfield who know that area. So,
Mm-hmm.
if you've been watching the news anytime in the last 4 or 5 months, you'll know that this was talked about quite a bit.
Con. Well, let me go ahead and get into this as it's probably gonna play a little commercial, but like you said, in this area, is this common in the area? Does this type of thing take place out there in Bakersfield, California?
So Bakersfield itself, yes, but that particular area, I would say it doesn't happen much, but that's why it's more so of a shock because of when and where it took place, right? Because normally that area is populated with people who, have a little bit more money on that end. You know what I mean? So this is why I think it was talked about more,
At the
as
marketplace
compared
where
to
later
maybe if
this
it was on the
evening
east side of
a prayer
Bakersfield.
vigil will be held for
Con,
15-year-old
con,
Prince
con.
Michael Banner,
Here we
the
go.
teenager who was shot and killed here over the weekend. But first, we want to bring you some breaking news. Bakersfield police just telling me that 15-year-old Albert Briseño Jr., the teen who was wanted in connection with this shooting, has surrendered himself and is in custody. Now, this prayer vigil will be happening in just about an hour as family and friends gather to remember Banner. It'll begin at about 6 p.m. again here at the marketplace. This is a developing story. We'll continue to follow throughout the evening and bring you the latest during the prayer vigil. But again, Banner was, according to police, here at the marketplace Sunday evening around 8:30 p.m. when shots fired out. He was taken to Kern Medical where he later died. Again, family and friends will be gathering here. The vigil is set to begin at 6 p.m. We'll bring you the latest coming up in our 5 and 6 o'clock hours. For now, live in Bakersfield, I'm Veronica Morley, your senior reporter.
And we send prayers out to that family. You know, we send prayers out to that family because that's horrible that a mother and a father and any family, just family members in general, should have to go through something like that at such a young age, 15 years old. You know, it's so much future, so much time, so much everything in front of that young man. And for his life to be taken like that. But you know, through the scriptures, we know for those that are in the word, that those that are in the truth, we know that no person leaves the earth without the Most High giving the okay, right? The Most High has to give the okay. So, like it says in the book of Wisdom and Solomon, what we may think and see as tragic, you know, the Most High had that happen for a particular reason. That reason I can't give you, but our prayers do go out to that family, for that young man, and also the young man that turned himself in. And kudos for him. I'm pretty sure his family, you know, has something to do with that. But kudos for him for turning himself in and taking responsibility for what he did. You know,
Right.
so that's crazy. And we have one more video that we want to show you. And this one actually happened. That was what you said about a month ago that happened out?
Actually, it's going about, I would say, more or less 5 months ago.
About 5 months ago. Wow. Goodness gracious. And then we have another one that happened. This one happened maybe a couple weeks ago, I think March 29th or something. So this one is a little bit more recent, and you'll see the kind of type of violence that's taking place on our streets, you know, the streets that we very well live and shop and go to eat and all of these places. So let me show one more. Let me show my screen again. And I want to show this one. As we can see here, I started from the beginning. Right. Here we go. As we can see here, it's a bunch of kids kind of hanging out, teenagers hanging out at a gathering, I guess a house party. Up here at the top, I can see it says March 29th, 2025, and it is 12:24 a.m., right, on a Saturday night, I guess. Well, now it's probably Friday night, but now that it turned midnight, it's Saturday. So they were out on a Friday night at almost 1 o'clock in the morning. And I have no idea why 17-year-olds, 15, 16, and 17-year-olds are allowed to be out at almost 1 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night. This is what I mean. Like, where are the parents at?
Right.
That was so crazy. All those kids, man. People just opened up gunfire right in the middle of people. Like no care for anybody's life. You know, this is what I mean. Kids, teenagers. So it's going to show it again in slow motion so you can actually see who's doing the shooting. Look at this young girl right here. She's actually caught. Let me rewind this just a little bit. She's actually caught right in the crossfire of the man that's shooting right here. They got shot on the ground, and it's another man back here that's shooting. This young lady is right in the middle of something I'm pretty sure she had nothing to do with and almost lost her life for nothing.
Right.
For nothing, because kids, teenagers are walking around with guns, handguns, semi-automatics, whatever they have, and they're kids. They don't understand what it means to take someone's life, and this is sad. So I know it's kind of graphic, and I know for some people it's kind of hard for them to look at, but we did want to show you guys that. We may have to go back to that at a later time. I don't know, but we just wanted to show you guys some very violent, graphic things that are going on in the world, especially with our young children, And I want to, if I can, I want to go to one scripture real quick.
Yes, sir.
As we get started, it's in the New Testament, and I want to go to 2 Timothy chapter 3, one of the classics, right? And it says, difficult times, Salak Yahweh. Let me know when everybody's there. 2 Timothy, try to blow it up as big as I can. 2 Timothy chapter 3.
I'll read it.
It'll be at verse 1. The water.
The book of 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of themselves, their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy.
Now, right here, it says in verse 2, the beginning, for man. So, in this difficult time that's ahead of us, we are looking for men to be lovers of themselves, to be boasters, to be proud. We're not looking for kids to be this way. We're not looking for teenagers to be this way, right? Because it says the difficult times will come, and it says for man shall be these things. But then it also says in here, disobedient to parents. And what does it mean to be disobedient to your parent? It means not to honor them. Even in what they would call the 10 Commandments, it says, honor thy father and thy mother. Meaning anything that they ask you to do as a parent, you shall do. As long as it doesn't go against the Most High, of course. So when you're disobedient to your parents, that means you are doing things that go against their moral standard. The ethics that they may have, the things that they stand for. And you're going against that. So now you're being disobedient, Salakia, disobedient to parents and unthankful. A lot of kids today are unthankful. Not only kids, but just human beings in general. To be unthankful means that when you wake up in the morning, you didn't give praise to the creator that woke you up, right? You didn't say a prayer to him and say, thank you for giving me this day. So when you go about that day and you don't even give praise to the creator who woke you up, that's being unthankful. And we know being unholy is anything that goes against the word of the Most High. So I just wanted to kind of stop right there and kind of elaborate on that. But go ahead.
Verse 3. Without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers,
Uh-huh.
incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good.
Now that's a big one right there. That's a big one. Despisers of those that are good. So the ones that are walking in the truth, right? Let me tell you a story real quick. It was a young man that I knew that went to a school, right? And in that school he was in, he was one of the only ones that I seen walk around with a Bible in his hand. And kids picked on him, kids looked at him different, right? And they despised that he was a good kid. He wanted to do all his work. He wanted to be a good student. He treated people and adults with respect. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Right? And those other kids despised and looked at him a certain way because why? He was doing something good. It's the same way in the world. When you try to walk in the truth and you turn from the way in your lifestyle that you used to live, people turn against you and they start to call you names. As we were speaking about the other day, maybe a Bible thumper, or he's in a cult, or he's in a certain or she is in a certain religion, or it's always something different now because now you're walking in righteousness, true righteousness, and now those people despise what? Those that are doing good, And that's a big one right here, especially right now in 2025.
Con. You want verse 4?
Bring it out.
Verse 4. Traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High.
Ooh, man. You know that's going on.
Right.
Go ahead. Unless you got something, go ahead.
Now, verse 5. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof.
Mm-hmm.
From such turn away. For of this sort are they which creep into houses, and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts.
And see, this is important for our sisters, our Ahchwathyam, right? The ones that are out there that are with sin. It is letting us know that what? Those type of men, those type of people out there in the world, that's who they prey on. Who? The silly women. The silly women that's out there that has all this sin in her life. It says these type of men. We go all the way back up to how I started off in verse 2. Those silly women attract these kind of men. These are the kind of men that they attract: boastful, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, truth breakers. And then what happens? High-minded, lovers of pleasure more than the Most High. And then what happens? She gets her feelings hurt. Her heart gets broken into a million pieces because she put her trust into a man of this sort. Why? Because she didn't give her heart first or her love first to the Most High. This is why it's warning the women, not calling them silly, but letting them know if you act in this manner, you will be considered a silly woman, right? And it'll lead away into what? Different lust. Verse 7 says,
Verse 7. Ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth.
And that's the saddest part about it is that they're learning. They may know the scriptures. They may go to a congregation. They may be part of a congregation. They may have on fringes. They may cover their hair. And a different, same thing for the ox. They may know the Hebrew. They may say Kwam Yasharallah, call Halal Yahawah. They may say all these things. But it says ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Why can't they come to the knowledge of the truth? Because they can't truly, sincerely serve the Most High. And the reason I say that is because Hamashiach Yahawashi said he hates someone who is lukewarm, right? He wish you was either hot or cold. You can't be in the middle when it comes to this thing. You just can't be. You know, it says in another scripture that you will hate one and love the other. So you have to make a choice. And that's, you know, that's the beautiful thing about the Most High. Let me stop sharing that. That's the beautiful thing about the Most High is that he wants you to make a choice. He's not going to allow you to just ride the middle lane, you know, the center divider. He's not going to allow you to just ride that. You're going to have to make a choice. Either you're going to stay on the freeway or you're going to get off. You know, either you're going to get in the carpool lane or you just going to ride that fast lane or the first lane. Like, you got to make a choice. What is it that you're going to do? You know, and he gives you time to make that choice. But as he say, I think it's Sirach 5, don't tarry too long. You know, don't tarry too long because sudden destruction can come upon you, you know. So go ahead.
Right. And there's one point I want to talk about before we go into some more scriptures. You said something that brought something to my attention. Those children or those young adults, right, more or less, just to show you that how far their brain still needs to go to grow, to develop. They were not even considering that those shots that they were firing off could potentially go and struck somebody else's house. Whose bullets were not intended for, right? So much less not understanding why they need to have a firearm, but once they release those bullets or that ammunition, knowing that all those shots that they fired off are going to potentially head to the house that the party was at and the houses in the around the block.
Hey, you know, it's in that you said that it was another video. I didn't show that one where the actual news people, once everything, you know, died down and they was able to go and do their investigation, it actually showed the bullets that went through people's garages, their cars, things of that sort. So, like you say, it's Friday night. Well, you know, turned to Saturday now, 12:30 at night. You know, you in your home sleep with you and your family. Say one of your kids got up to go use the restroom or anything, you know, or your wife was thirsty and wanted to go get a drink of water. And, you know, you have kids out in front of your house or just out in the neighborhood, like you say, with guns and a shooting in a neighborhood. And it was a gated community, you know, where you feel safe and just, you know, just no regard for life whatsoever. You know, like you say, for the people that were in the homes, you know, so it's one of those sad situations. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that out, you know.
All right.
I'm glad you brought that out. For those tuning in, we had showed a video of these young people shooting at a home. I'll show it one more time for those that may tune in. So what you was just speaking on. We'll show it real now. No, it's graphic. If you didn't see it the first time, it is very graphic. And I just want to warn you, you know, that it is graphic. But we'll show it here again. So that's actually what we were talking about when, you know, when he said that the bullets were flying and things like that would happen, that you don't know where it's going to go, you know, and that's like I say, that's sad, you know, and unfortunately those things happen amongst Israelites that are in the truth and that are not in the truth. Somebody might say, well, I've never heard another Israelite shooting at another Israelite that's in the truth. Well, Hamashiach Yahawashi said that murder is what? Even if you have any kind of hatred in your heart for your brother. So just because you're not actually physically pulling out a gun and shooting it at another Israelite, you might bear some kind of hatred or some kind of grudge in your heart towards another fellow brother or sister out there, which is, you know, a great sin to have. upon you, and we know people may not say it, but we know. I mean, if you in this thing, a lot of Israelites have a lot of hatred in their heart for other ox, and a lot of Ahchwathyam, which are the sisters, they have hatred for their other sisters. So much jealousy, backbiting, uh, bitterness, all these things. It remind me of being in the wilderness all over again. All of the murmuring, just how they did against Moses. If they see anybody that's trying to really walk that walk, like we said, trying to be good, live good, want to walk the way of the Most High, like it's just like those other people we just read in Timothy. Now they despise you. Oh, that I think he good. He think he exalting himself. He think he doing something. No, man, we just want to follow the Most High. We just want to get our crown. That's it, man. And sometimes it's sad to say some ox will lead you down the wrong way on purpose. On purpose to see you fall. To see your demise, and this, that's sad.
Salaki.
Go ahead, Doc.
Right. So again, just to touch on it, we're pulling scripture, we're showing videos, right? Just to edify Yasharallah, right? Israel, that the violence that takes place in Israel, right? Even from the beginning of the Bible all the way to the end, you'll read about certain events that was what we would call internal conflict, right? Issues amongst Israel. And violence itself doesn't necessarily have to be physical in the sense of what we just watched, firearms, stabbings, fist fighting, whatever you want to pull up. But violence also can take place verbally, right? Scriptures speak about backbiting, murmuring. That's a form of violence. That's what Ak just said earlier, secretly having hatred within your mind for a certain sister or a certain brother, right? And if I can get a scripture in Numbers 12, just to show you a form of violence, right? Verbally. And this wasn't even physical. This was verbally. Numbers 12, and we'll start at 1. For those that have read it, you kind of got an idea of what took place at this particular time. But for those who don't, as we read on, we'll go ahead and explain what it is exactly we're talking about. But if I can get Numbers chapter 12, verse 1.
Numbers chapter 12, verse 1. And it says, and Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian woman.
All right, so for those who do not know, Miriam, Aaron, and Moses are all from the same father and mother, right? The same dad and mom. They are actually biological brothers and sisters, right? So at this particular point, with all the works that Moses was doing on behalf of the Most High, Miriam and Aaron had an issue with Moses being given the okay to marry an Ethiopian woman, right? Verse 2.
God, come on. And they said, have Yahweh indeed spoken only by Moses? Have he not spoken also by us? And Yahweh heard it.
So at this point, now you got Miriam and Aaron saying, isn't the Most High dealing with us as well? Just as much as Moses? Who is Moses to do these things? Well, the Most High deals with us as well, the same way. Read on.
Now the man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth.
Can we get, if you can you pull up the definition of meek?
We'll go into it right here. Meek is the Hebrew 6035. I'm going to click on it. We'll get the letter.
Strong's H 6035. Anav.
Right. So
second entry. Anav.
Right. So if we can get the outline usage of meek, poor, humble, afflicted, and there goes meek again. So the scripture is saying that Moses was humble above all men that were on the face of the earth. Sit back and think about that. Moses was humble amongst all men on the face of the earth, right? If we want to go back, or unless you want to read something else, you bring something else out.
No, I was just looking right here. It says depressed in mind, circumstances, right? Humble, lowly, meek, poor. And you know, it's I just think about how everybody in this world they want to be rich, right? But in the Bible it tells us to be at a low estate. Why? Because this is not our rest. This is not where we're supposed to and have an enjoyment right now because this is our fallen state, you know. So I was just looking at that.
Right. It also said gentle. So Moses was displaying all these qualities of being meek, things that we should be applying as individuals, right? Men, women, and children, right? Things that we should be telling each other, holding each other accountable, and be like, "Hey, bro, let's try to replicate how our forefathers, Moses, David, things like that, right?" So now at this point, we understand that the issue that we haven't had between Aaron and Miriam is that they were mad because Moses was given the okay to marry an Ethiopian woman, right? Verse 4.
And Yahweh spake suddenly unto Moses.
Stop right there.
Go ahead.
Can you read that again? And pay attention to exactly how quick the Most High appeared unto Moses.
Numbers chapter 12, verse 4, and it says, and Yahweh spake suddenly unto Moses, and unto Aaron, and unto Miriam. Come out ye, Salakia, come out ye three unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out.
Right. So after this was said by Miriam and Aaron, the Most High stopped what he was doing in his dwelling place, right? And suddenly came down and demanded that all three came and appeared before him. Obviously, we're seeing something was not right, so much so that the Most High had to stop what he was doing and appear immediately. Sit back and think on that. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And Yahweh came down in a pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, Yahweh, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream.
Right. So at this point, as we read back earlier in the verses above, Aaron and Miriam said, hey, just as much as the Most High is speaking and dealing with Moses, he's doing the same with us. The Most High's rebuttal is, when it comes to me speaking, and more particularly a prophet, I'm going to let him know through visions and dreams. Right? Now, the next verse is going to be key on how he deals exactly with Moses, right? Let's see if he deals with Miriam and Aaron the same way he does with Moses.
Numbers 12, verse 7. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all my house.
Bring it out, Ak.
Verse 8. With him will I speak mouth to mouth.
With him, the Most High deals directly, mouth to mouth. Think about that. Read that again, Ak.
Salakia. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches, and the similitude of Yahweh shall he behold. Wherefore, then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses.
Right. So now we got the Most High saying, listen, I deal with Moses mouth to mouth. I don't know what you think or how you think me and you communicate, but you're hearing it from, how they say it in the world, the horse's mouth. You're hearing it from me directly. I deal with him mouth to mouth. And with that being said, how is it that you can speak against my servant Moses? How is it that you even have those thoughts come up in your head and feel like you're on the same level as your brother? To show where is the love and respect for Moses? Did you not see what happened when we left Egypt? Have you not been paying attention to all the wonderful work that I've been doing through this man, Moses? Right? Read on.
Hey, Khan, Salakia, it make me also kind of think about, I know there is no prophet like Moses was, as you going into right here. But, as the Most High told all of the other men, especially the one that was hiding in the cave, that I got 7,000 other men that haven't been born yet. So it's like, you never know. It makes me think about myself too. I got to be cautious because it's like you never know. You speak against another Ak, be careful how and when you reprove or rebuke, and what that Ak is doing or what that Ahchwathyam is doing, because you never know who you really speaking on. And everything is written down, so just like the Most High heard them when they were speaking, we know the Most High hears us when we speak too. He might hear something that you say, and like he came down on them, he might come down on you. So we got to be cautious. That's why it tells us to walk circumspectly. Be cautious in everything that you do, because you're dealing with the Most High, and his malaks and everything. So everything is seen and heard when it comes to the Most High. Years ago, before I came into the truth, I used to think that I didn't know. I didn't think anything, but I didn't know that things were being recorded, things were being written in the book, that the malaks, the angels, are watching us. Everything is being recorded, that the Most High is listening to things that are being said, that you're going to have to give an account for every idle word that come out your mouth. I didn't know these things. But now when you come in the truth and you know these things, man, you think twice before you say something.
Bring it out.
You're a little bit more cautious before you just say something out your mouth, or things that you might even do, because it doesn't have the same effect that it used to have. Now that you know that you're being watched by the malaks, by the angels. Now that you know that the Most High is really looking down upon you, and he sees you. Like he said, you can't go in a closet and hide. You can't go in the darkness and hide from me. Don't you know my eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun? You can't hide from me. So those things that you used to do in the flesh, to what people may be watching this, things that you do in the flesh, maybe watch something that you shouldn't be watching, having pleasure on yourself, for those people who know what I'm talking about. Those things are not acceptable now. Those things are not as they should be, because you know that the angels, the malaks, are watching you, and they're reporting this back to the Most High, and that's a vile, dirty, filthy thing to do, because you know that your body wasn't created for that. Your body wasn't created for that. And we know we don't do the works of the flesh, but we do the works of the spirit. I'm sorry, but I just had to get that out real quick.
No, you good, and a good point. I got to sit back and think on that as well. You know what I mean? I got to sit back and think. I'm not afraid to admit that. That's a good point. That's a good point. Just as we see, the Most High can appear suddenly and bring some form of judgment for the disobedience you've been doing, speaking out of hand, out of pocket, and knowing that these are your brothers and sisters, right, in Hamashiach.
Man,
so just sit back and think on that.
That's why he said right here, let me highlight that. He says, and ye were not afraid to speak against my servant. So we don't actually know who is really, well, you should know who is working for the Most High, because you will know them by their fruit. But like he says, why wasn't you afraid to speak against that person? If you know a person is really walking with the Most High, you can see their fruit, you can see their humbleness, you can see their meekness, and they doing everything to humble themselves and really walk with the Most High. And for you to speak evil against that person just because, and murmur against that person just because you may not like something that happened, that's wrong. That's evil and it's vile. And that's why the Most High came down and got up with him, because you didn't respect that servant that he had chose. And you have to respect that, because the Most High chose him. Like he said, I haven't did this with anybody else. With him, I speak mouth to mouth.
Bring it out.
He didn't do that with Abraham. He didn't do that with Isaac. But with Moses, he say, I don't give him no dark speeches. I'm not giving him no similitude, something he got a parable he got to figure out. No, it's mouth to mouth. I tell him exactly what I want him to do.
And just to piggyback what you said a little while ago about that example in the school, I believe you said about how there was a young man who carried around his Bible, and that he would get looked down upon in some way, shape, or form. This is similar to what you brought out as far as Moses, right? Even though they're amongst Moses and seeing the works that he's doing, That's kind of equating to how that brother had that Bible and those looking down on him, right? Moses is getting the word from the Most High directly. And for them to speak out against Moses and act like it was nothing, and to have the audacity to say, well, the Most High deals with us the same, but evidently not, as we can see here in verse 12 or the verses above, right?
Can
we get verse 9?
For if people don't understand, and somebody might click on this in a later, and they might say, man, I don't really get it, dark speeches and similitudes, and because people always, they like, I don't understand the Bible. Listen, if you a street dude, it's basically like the Most High is the cartel, and you was out speaking bad about the cartel and about what they was giving you, and word got back to the cartel, and they pulled your coattail, and then they said you wasn't scared to speak about us. You know what we do. We'll hang you from a tree. We'll cut up everybody. And that's what you have to realize, just as much power as that cartel has, the Most High has 10 times more power. So for a street person that had that type of knowledge, that's what it's kind of going into. Verse 9, Numbers chapter 12, verse 9. Salaki about that, but I just thought that would be a good analogy.
Bring it out, Ak.
And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against them, and he departed.
So now we clearly see that it says that the Most High was mad, was angered. So much so that he had to come down from where he was at and check Miriam and Aaron. So you may ask yourself, well, how is this a form of violence? This wasn't physical. There was no arrows fired off. There was no knives. There was no stabbings. But this is hatred. This was a form of hatred, believe it or not. For her to get out of pocket and think that she can speak out against Moses for what he was able to do for that time, that was a form of hatred. That's violence in itself, right?
God.
So much so that the Most High had to react to it. And he went away. As he departed, he was angered. Right?
God.
Verse 10.
Verse 10. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle. And behold, Miriam became lepers, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam and beheld she was lepers.
Right. So now for her disobedience and speaking out, feeling high and mighty, she was given leprosy, right? And for those who don't know, leprosy is essentially a plague, right?
It's a plague.
Right.
It's a plague. I can tell you exactly what it is. What it does is it strips the melanin from you, right? So it takes the melanin out of you that gives you color. So when people don't have color, it turns them white as snow because you have no melanin in you. It just strips you of everything. This is why certain people, when they go into the sun, they start to get boils on their body or burn, and they have to get out of that sun because it's something inside of them, which is that melanin that doesn't coat their body, and their skin can absorb that heat and the rays from the sun, right? So that's why they kind of cover themselves. They wear all these jackets and socks and dresses and hats, and because they have to block themselves from the sun, because when you get it, it starts to put boils and pus all over your body and things like that. And nobody wants to touch you because people believe that it's contagious because it can get really nasty.
Right. Sunscreen, things like that.
Right.
So as we can see, the Most High gave her leprosy, right? That was back when you go into the book of Leviticus, you'll see that leprosy was considered unclean. Now, on the flip side, just a sidebar. So it says that she became leprous, white as snow. So that tells you if she was how the pictures are depicted now, right? She was of a lighter skin tone, right? Consider what we would call white. That wouldn't make sense that now she was previously white, or what we call Edomites, right? Now she's white again. That wouldn't make sense. So that clearly tells you that this woman was a woman of color.
Some type of color.
Some form of color. Some type of color, right?
Some form of color.
Now she's been stripped of that and given leprous. She's been given skin that's white as snow, right?
Right.
Verse 11.
And Aaron said unto Moses, at last, my Lord, or at last, my master, Salakia, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned.
Right. So now you have Aaron pleading the case of himself and Miriam unto Moses, coming to him with respect now, right? After what just took place, saying, listen, we have done foolishly. Moses, please forgive us for the sin that we've done. Please. And as we read down, we'll see what his petition is, right? Go ahead, Ak.
Verse 12, let her not be as one dead. So when you see this leprosy and it turns you as white as snow, it's like one being dead. Why? Because when you die, what happens? You turn pale. You turn pale. You whatever that color is you have, whether you have melanin or not, whatever that color is you had, it turns another color. Why? Because the blood is not flowing. This is why when you see people that have a form of leprosy, right? Even today, what happens when you look at their skin? What can you see? A lot of people, you would see the blue veins inside their body. And the reason the veins are blue is because that's the blood moving through the heat. Because we know blood is red. But so why would the vein be blue? Right? When we look at it today. So it says of one that is dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed already, when he cometh out of his mother's womb. So it's letting you know. I don't know no child. I don't know all children of the world, but I don't know no child that came out as black as tar.
Right.
When children come out, even dark children, they light. Everybody light. Why? Because you was in that crave, that your mother's womb, Salakia. And then when you come out, then you get darker. But I don't know no child that came out black as tar. I just don't,
Right. And to even add to that, some children come out yellow, right? And they call that jaundice. But the key part that I want out of this is I just recently had another child, right? And when that baby came out, he didn't have any color, no color at all. He came out just like as the scripture said, like leprosy. So again, that's not something we should be looking for. Those that are aware of Sammy Sosa, who else? Michael Jackson. They all, whatever their excuse was or whatever took place, I don't know. I wasn't there. But I know for sure I can say about Sammy Sosa, he went from a dark-skinned brother to someone who looks like a cartoon. And for whatever reason, maybe he was told that appearance of skin was not desired, whatever it was, he decided to get his skin color or his tone changed to look like what we're just bringing out here, which is a curse.
Right.
So but again, go ahead. Sorry.
They don't know that. They don't know that. They don't know that it's a curse, and they don't know that it's have one dead. People want to be. This is why the Bible goes into it. Envy not thy oppressor and things like that, because us as a people, we always want to be like our oppressor. We always want to be like someone else, not knowing that that was a curse that the Most High put on a particular people. That's why those genes, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but that's why those type of genes are recessive. They're not good to have. They're actually recessive, meaning what? They're decreasing. They're not any good. So even when you look upon that, like you said, people without the knowledge of the Most High, they start to turn themselves into that because they think that they've been taught that in the world that's how you need to look, or that's how you need to be in order to be something in this world. But we know Satan is a deceiver, and he was a liar from the beginning, and he's a murderer, and all these things that he's a very in Genesis chapter 3, he's a very what is it, crafty, right? So why would you be born with something that's good for you, that you can actually, when you go out in the sun, you can extract it, take the vitamin D, take all of the things that it gives you, because you need to be in the sun to get the rays and all of the things for your body, right? Why would you take that away from you, then go another route to where you can't be in the sun? that you can't get the natural things and you're actually killing yourself. So that's, like I said, that's a whole nother big, I'm not going to get into all that, but that's a whole nother big thing. But yeah, I hear you on that one.
Bring it out. But again, so now at this point, for her going out of pocket and disrespecting Moses, she's been given leprosy at this point, right? Now we have Aaron speaking to Moses and saying, please, Moses, let's turn this the other way around. We're sorry for the sin that we did, right? Let's read on.
Verse 13, and Moses cried unto Yahweh, saying, heal her now, oh, the Most High. I beg you, because beseech means to beg. So he's saying, I beg thee. Go ahead.
Right. So think about that. Like the scripture above said, Moses was a meek man, more than any man on the face of the earth, right? Think about that. Moses could have played it off smooth and be like, you know what? This is what she gets. I'm trying to prove a point within the congregation. This is what she needs, and this is what she gets because of her disrespect. But Moses said, you know what? Most High, please, I beg you, let's switch her and get her back. Let's take the leprosy away and let's bring her back. Think about that. The love that Moses is showing at this point.
That's what I'm saying. That's like almost like what the saying with the Most High. Like they was talking about him, but he wasn't mad. He ain't tripping. He like, just heal her, you know. He not even worried about it, you know. And Aaron kind of, he just scared because he don't want it to happen to him, you know. So he kind of like, please heal her, because if the Most High heal her, then he know he not coming at him.
Bring it out.
Verse 14 says, and Yahweh said unto Moses, if her father had but spit in her face,
bring it out.
Should she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be shut out from the camp 7 days. And after that, let her be received again.
Right. So now the Most High said unto Moses, look, Moses, had her father spit in her face, right? Putting her to shame, right? Would this have happened? Would she have had the thoughts protruded to her mind and tell her, hey, I should be able to go disrespect Moses because I'm on the same level? No. And so with that, the Most High said, put her out of the camp 7 days. What do you think she's going to be doing in those 7 days, right? She's going to be pondering, man, I can't believe I did that. I should be thankful the Most High only did this to me. He could have easily put me to death. He could have did me a lot worse than what he gave me, right? 7 days. In today's time, that goes by like this. Right?
Quick.
Right.
We already on the first day. So we just got 6 more to go. We put 1 down already, and believe me, they're gonna go like this. You know, we'll be out on the Shabbat again before you know it.
And within 12 hours, it'll be Monday.
Think
about that.
Yeah, just like that.
Verse 15.
Verse 15, and Miriam was shut out from the camp for 7 days. And the people journeyed not till Miriam was brought back in again. 16. You want 16?
Yeah, we'll close it on 16.
And afterwards, the people removed from Hazeroth, I believe that's how you pronounce it, and pitched in the wilderness of Paran.
Right. So we read all that just to show you in the scriptures, right? We could have went many other places, but I thought this would be fitting for what we're talking about, right? This was no direct physical violence, but more so anything, this was verbal, right? This was a disrespect that took place. And sometimes that's all it takes to get to the next step, right? But for the most part, you saw how the Most High reacted to when a form of violence was brought out, right? So what else you got, Doc? That's really what I wanted to bring out and show the brothers and sisters.
Oh, well, let's go all the way back. I want to go all the way back to Genesis. I want to go all the way back to Genesis. You know,
4?
Genesis 4. You already know, Genesis 4. You're probably gonna start about verse 4, right?
Yes, sir.
Genesis 4:4, because we don't have to look too far in the Bible. And I was gonna start at Adam, but sometimes, you know, the Most High say, you know, sometimes you got to start with, not saying that people need milk, but sometimes you ain't got to go into a deep parable. Sometimes it's right here on the surface where you could just look right at it and see it. You know, you don't have to go into no deep breakdown, you know, and right here in Genesis 4, we don't have to go into no deep breakdown. This is violence right here, you know, at the hand. in the 4th chapter in the Bible. We ain't got to go far, right? Go ahead,
Right.
I.
Right. And just before we read it, it shows you that violence has been around from the beginning of time.
Con.
Right? That's the thing that still takes place today. And as we can see in the scriptures, we're going back all the way in the beginning of time at this point.
Con.
Right?
And that's why I say I was gonna do dealing with Adam, but I didn't want to have to, kind of ring it out, because it starts there because Adam was at the fallen state. When Adam fell, when man fell, that's when all of this creeped in. If we go to verse chapter 3, the first thing it says in chapter 3 was, let me go to it real quick. The first thing in chapter 3, it says, now the serpent was more what? What was he?
Subtle.
He was more subtle than any beast of what?
The field.
The field. Now, later on within the epistles, Hamashiach Yahawah lets us know that the field is considered the world, right? In Matthew chapter 13, when he gives us the parables of the wheat and the tares, that the field is considered the world. So it's letting us know that the serpent here was more crafty. He was more subtle than any beast that was in the world that Yahweh, the Most High, had made. And he said unto the woman, yeah, have the Most High said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? Right? So right then and there, that craftiness, that subtleness, that trickery, it entered in right here. Right here. And this is what brought the violence. This is what brought the wickedness. This is what brought everything that we have today right here in Genesis chapter 3. Because as you read down, this is the fall. Not only for her, but for man and beast. Because it affected everything. It just didn't affect man and the woman. It affected man, women, and beast. Everything is on the earth is affected. That's why I said the whole earth is groaning. The whole earth is waiting for Hamashiach Yahawah to come back. Not just men, not just women, the earth. Because it's what? It's taking those bodies. Let's go back to chapter 4. I don't want to jump ahead, but when it starts talking about the blood and how the earth has to open her mouth and receive the bodies that it has to take in. That's not what it was created for. Go ahead, Ott.
All right.
Unless you got anything.
No. Genesis chapter 4, verse 4. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock, and the fat thereof. And Yahweh had respect unto Abel, and to his offering.
Con.
But unto Cain, and to his offering, he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And Yahweh said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen?
Now, what does wrath mean? Wrath means angry. Cain was angry. Why was Cain angry? Because man had fell already from the state that they were in when he was in the garden. So Satan is already amongst them. That's why Cain is angry. He has this rage inside of him already. It's already there. That's why the Most High going to tell him in the very next verse. This is why he asked him in 6, why are you angry? Why is your face looking like that? All twisted all up like you mad at somebody, right? You know how people get that look in their face like they mad, like they going to do something. So the Most High tell him in verse 7, watch, go ahead.
Verse 7, if thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted?
Uh-huh.
And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him.
Now who sin shall lie at your door? Who is sin? Who is he? Who is sin? He is the one that gets you to go contrary to what? The law. He is the one that gets you to break what the Most High engrafted and ordained for us. This is why the Most High is telling him it lies at your door. Let me watch this. For those that might say, well, I don't know if it say that. Let me just hold where you at. I'm going to go right here. If you can see it on the screen, I'm going to go to the NLT real quick. New Living. Okay. And it says, you will be accepted if you do what is right. So if you do what's right, you shall be accepted by the Most High Yahweh. But if you refuse to do what is right, then watch out. The Most High is telling you, watch out. If you don't want to do what's right, why? Because sin is crouching at the door. Satan is waiting. He peeping in. He hoping you don't do right. And it says it's eager to control you. What's going to control you? That's sin. Same thing that Paul speaks about. Same thing that James speak about when he said what? No man is led away by the Most High. You're led away by your own what? Lust and desires. Just as it is in the beginning here in Genesis chapter 4, is the same thing they writing about in the New Testament. That is eager, that sin is eager to control you. But the Most High says, and he tell Cain, but you must subdue it and be its master.
Bring it out.
So what do you have to master? You have to master the sin that is crouching down, trying to be over you and control you. It's like almost, you know how them wrestlers be when one try to pin another and then they go and they wrestling and then he pin you and that's how it is. So who is going to control who? Are you going to let your sin control you, or are you going to control yourself through the Spirit, right? And that's what the Most High is telling him right here in Genesis. But as we read on, we're going to find out. Go ahead, verse 8.
Verse 8. And Cain talked with Abel, his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him.
Now that reminds me of just how it is now in the world that we in, because we know that the field, like I said earlier, is considered the world. So Cain talked to his brother, told him, hey, let's go out here in the world. Take a ride with me, as we would say today. Take a ride with me. I got to go take care of something. And when they was out there, you know, Cain turned down one of them corners and killed his own brother. All the while he knew he was going to do it. Why? Because he let sin into his heart. He let sin into his mind. The Most High tried to warn him, but that power of sin was so strong that Cain let it overcome him. So now Cain had to commit some type of act of violence, because that sin, that anger, that wrath had entered him. And that's all that it knows how to do. Why? Because it tells us in John 8:44 that Satan, the devil, he was a murderer from when? The beginning. That's all he knows. So if he's in you and amongst you, you have to commit acts of violence. You have to. Go ahead, verse 9.
Verse 9. And Yahweh said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper?
So now he talking smart. Am I my brother's keeper? Go ahead.
Verse 10. And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth.
He's what?
And now art thou cursed from the earth. Which have opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand.
So see, I believe another verse. Pull that for me real quick. You, not you, brother Philip. Pull that for me. Numbers. I'm trying to think. 33 and 33, and number 33 and 23 or something. That the blood, the blood that defiled the land have to be shed. The one that defiled it. You know what I'm talking about, brother Philip? It's in the book of Numbers. I know it's Numbers 33 or something. Numbers 33 and 13, Numbers 33 and
35, 33.
35, 33?
Yes.
Yeah, well, let me get that real quick and then you got it? Numbers 35, let me see. And then we'll jump right back. Numbers 35, and you said 33?
Yes. Numbers 35, verse 33.
Go ahead.
So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are. For blood it defileth the land.
The blood defiles the land. So wherever they were, Cain, Abel, when Cain killed Abel, it defiled the land. That land now that they were at, it was defiled. Why? That's why he said the blood is crying out. The blood that we know that we have is life. So that life that Abel had, which was in the blood, was crying out to the Most High, letting us know that the Most High can hear the blood. He can hear the very blood that's being spilled on the earth when a person is shot, when a person is murdered, when a person is killed, and they land on that ground and the blood is leaking out on the concrete. The Most High hears that blood crying out for that young brother or that young sister or that young child that's laying on the concrete, laying on the slab, and that blood is leaking out. The Most High hears that, of that violence that's in the earth. Those cries are going up to him. And that's what people don't understand. We have to understand and realize that it has been polluted. This land that we're in, America, is polluted and filled with bloodshed. Blood. And it says right there, continue on. Salaki, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein.
Uh-huh.
But by the blood of him that shed it.
That's why Hamashiach Yahawashi coming back, because he said, vengeance is mine. So all of those people, when they be like, well, those were my ancestors, I didn't have nothing to do with that. Okay. It's not about what you had something to do. It's about the blood. The blood is the life. The blood is the nation. That's why the nations that are written about in Genesis 10 are still alive today, because it's about the blood that's in the nation. It's about the bloodline of the nation of people. There's no such thing as race. Race was created in the 18th century by a Caucasian man, that he put the Caucasian race on the top. There's no such thing as race. You never read about race in the Bible. You read about nations of people. And that's what it's talking about. So until that blood is spilled from the one who did all the shedding of blood, it can't be cleansed, right? And he tells us in verse 34, what?
Verse 34, defile not therefore the land which ye shall inhabit.
Which you shall inhabit. So wherever we go to inhabit that new land, there will be no more bloodshed, which will be what? The kingdom. And he lets us know those people that had those swords and all of those things to kill, axes and stuff to kill people, he said they're going to make them into what? Plowshares. They're going to be things out there that they're going to use for gardening tools now. Why? Because it won't be no more none of that on the earth. There will be no more blood spilling on the earth, because if it was to occur, that means that the earth, when Hamashiach Yahawashi comes back, it will still be defiled. And he's not going to allow that.
Bring it out.
It says, go, Salaki, I'm sorry, go ahead, finish it off.
Defile not therefore the land which ye shall inhabit, wherein I dwell. For I, Yahweh, dwell among the children of Israel.
Come on, man. And we are the children of Israel. So can the Most High dwell amongst us right now at this time in the land that we're in, when all this blood has been spilled and defiled from the Native Americans, from the so-called African Americans who was brought over here from the Atlantic slave trade, and all of the other people that were here that were indigenous, the Mayans, the Aztecs, all of the blood that was shed to take over this land. Can the Most High dwell in this land? Because let me tell you something, on the American dollar, it says, in God we trust. Do they really trust in God? What God? Because the Bible lets us know that there is a God of this world. That's in 2 Corinthians chapter 4. So just because they say they trust in a God is what God? And we clearly can see from the works of those people that came over here and conquered and took this land, they serve who? The God of this world, which is Satan. I just wanted to let that be known. But we can go back to Genesis, because just like Cain allowed for Satan to take over him, those people that conquered America, or so-called the land of America, they let Satan take over them, right? That's why they have all of those symbols on the back of their money. What verse was we at?
Verse 12.
In Genesis?
Yes.
Okay, let me jump down. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 4, verse 12. When thou tillest the ground, it shall now henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth.
So now we understand for the things that you plant in the ground, right? The dust that comes from the ground, which we are, you won't receive and you won't get all of the what? Strength. You won't receive all that it has to offer for you, because why? It's been defiled. It's been defiled. I don't know for many people if they have watched this movie. Dang, what was the movie? Anyway, I was gonna give a little scenario. It's this movie, and it was these evil things that they were coming out, right? And they were being born, like ogres and things like that. But just have an understanding that the thing that come from the ground, which we are ashes and dust, of the earth, that we're not going to get our full potential and our full strength, because the very ground, the very essence of what we come from has been tainted. It has been defiled. And he lets us know this here in Genesis. So no matter how great we think we are as a people, we're never at our greatest, because where we come from has been defiled all the way back from Adam. That's why he put him out of the garden. There's many other reasons, but that's why he put him out of the garden. And he cast him and told him that the ground there would be cursed. And he would have to work that ground and till it, and through what? Thorns and thistles. Anybody know when you try to go in there and you try to get some bushes or roses or whatever, them thorns prick you and you start to what? Bleed. And then the blood drips. And he just said if the blood touched the ground, then it what? Defiles the ground. So it's a lot of components and a lot of things going on. But it says, "In a fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth." So he's a fugitive and he's a vagabond. Verse 13, huh?
Verse 13. And Cain said unto Yahweh, my punishment is greater than I can bear.
Go ahead.
Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me.
So now he worried about being killed. We're going to stop at 15, but go ahead.
Verse 15. And Yahweh said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And Yahweh set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him.
Now that mark that a lot of people say is the same mark that you just spoke about in Numbers 12 with Miriam, with the leprosy, right? Because at that time it was a certain type of people, and those people were melanated people. So everybody that would know when they see that mark or see him walking as a leper, it would let the people know that that was the mark of the Most High and not to kill him. But that's not what I want to focus on. What I want to focus on right here is that it says, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken upon him sevenfold. So even though Cain killed his brother, the Most High didn't want that to continue on. And he's establishing what? That vengeance is his and it's not men's. It's not for a man to take vengeance for himself. It is for the Most High, because the Most High has a righteous judgment and man does not. Man's judgment has been altered on the earth. Why? Because he has let sin into his heart. And this is why he set it up this way, that if anybody tried to kill Cain or take ill will at him, that what? The punishment would be 7 times harder against that person. You would think that the Most High would be happy that somebody killed Cain or took him out the way for what he did. But no, the Most High said, if you touch Cain, that vengeance shall be upon you sevenfold. Letting us know that what? Vengeance is the Most High. He wants man, as you said earlier, to be like Moses was, meek, humble. Because let me get this real quick. We're going to jump one more. I want to bring out one more, and then I'll kick it back to you. Let me stop sharing real quick. And then I'm going to go to the book of Sirach, chapter 10. Real quick. You know what I want.
$13 or 12?
I'm gonna bring out 18. You want to bring it out? You want him to bring it out? Okay.
I'll bring it.
Go ahead, 18.
Sirach chapter 10, verse 18.
Go ahead.
Pride was not made for men, nor furious anger for them that are born of a woman.
So every man that came out the matrix, what in the Bible, what a woman womb is called, is the matrix. So every man that was born from a woman, it says pride was not made for men. Why? Because pride brings what? Anger, wrath, violence. All those things come from pride. It was a very pride that we just got through reading about in Genesis chapter 4 of what? Cain. That's why the Most High told him, why are you so angry? All you have to do is what is right. But you know, sin is at your door. Pride is at your door. Evil is at your door. And if you let that pride in your heart, if you let that evil in your heart, what was the pride of Cain? That he was upset that his brother did something good and was accepted. And he was mad about it because his wasn't accepted. And he let that fester in his body, fester in his mind, in his heart. And that anger arose. This is why it says pride was not made for man, nor furious anger. Cain had to be angry, furious at his brother to kill him. He had to be. I mean, that's my speculation. But he had to be angry at him. And the Bible lets us know that any man that comes out of a woman or a young lady that comes out of a woman, pride and anger is not made for us. Why? Verse 19,
So, if I can add something to that.
Come on, go ahead.
Right before we move on. And even back then, right after Adam, the Most High was showing mercy on that brother.
Come on.
Right. He even told him, right. Even before Cain committed the murder, he told him, if you do right, don't you think I'm going to accept that? But
that's what I'm saying. He laid it out for him to be able to come on back home. He said, just go do what's right. The same thing he tell us. If my people would humble themselves, just do what's right and come on back home.
Right. And towards the end, when he said, hey, nobody's supposed to kill him. No vengeance is going to take place on Cain. He showed him another form of mercy. Right? You want verse 19?
Yeah.
Sirach 10, verse 19. They that fear Yahweh are a sure seed. And they that love him, an honorable plant. They that regard not the law are a dishonorable seed. They that transgress the commandments are a deceivable seed.
And that's what Cain was. Cain was a deceivable seed because he transgressed what? The commandment and the law. You might say, well, Cain and Abel didn't have no law. Well, why were they bringing a sacrifice?
Bring it out.
Why were they bringing an offering to the Most High? Who told them to do that? Who told them to do? Who initiated and said it would be good if you were to bring an offering to the Most High? How did they even know what to bring or what to do? Because it was told to them. Who was it told to them? Their father. Because we know that after Adam sinned, he continued to serve who? The Most High. Because how do we know this? Because people are going to say, well, how do we know this? Because when Cain killed Abel, Adam and Eve had another son named Seth. And if you continue to read, it says, when Seth was born, then the man continued to what? Serve the Most High Yahweh. And we know as we continue to read, Seth had sons, and then you have Methuselah, you had Enoch, you had all the way down to Noah, right? And just how Noah was chosen as what? A just man before the flood. How was Noah a just man if he didn't know anything about the Most High? If he wasn't serving the Most High? How can he be a just and righteous man? So we know that there were men on earth serving the Most High. That's why Noah was chosen and his sons and those wives when he built the ark and he put them in the ark to what? Save mankind. So we know these things, right? When we read the scriptures. So he was an honorable plant, but Cain was a dishonorable seed. Why? Because he broke the commandments, right? Because he was full of pride and anger. I just want to bring that out. And I mean, it has some other ones I think you were saying up in 13, 12 and 13. It says, the beginning of pride is when one departed from the Most High and his heart is turned away from his maker. And 13 says, for pride is the beginning of sin, and he that have it shall pour out abominations. And therefore Yahweh brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. So yeah, we see that pride is not for men or women. And like we was going into yesterday, they about to, in the time coming, they're gonna have a whole month that's dedicated to pride, But I think that's all I got on that one. I'm gonna throw it back to you.
Right. Well, as far as I think we did a pretty good job. All praise to the Most High. We're bringing out some examples in the scriptures. But the one thing I would like to say, and I'll probably will always say, is go back and rewatch the class, right? And take notes. Take some good notes and sit back and meditate on them. Because what you're seeing within the scriptures, you're seeing the examples of how the Most High deals with us when we come out of pocket, right? So again, evidently we saw an example of how Moses was a very meek man. And even being meek, he was treated unfairly, right? There was a violence taking place amongst him. So for those that understand, we're no different. So we got to operate in the scriptures and just maintain our integrity.
And also I want to add that it's always been a lot of violence when it comes to us and the truth amongst one another. We read this in Paul's writings and Peter's writing. You have to understand, I know it was other nations of people amongst us, the Romans and things like that, especially in the New Testament, especially in the Maccabees. But sometimes it was our own people that we had to watch out for. Like Paul said, they accused me of this, but I haven't did anything in the temple. I wasn't causing a riot. I was just in there praying, and they came and accused me of all these things. They have no witnesses. Then he goes on to say how he's been beaten, in prison, all these things by his fellow brothers, which were Israelites, and it was all because he was preaching Hamashiach Yahawah. So it's almost sad in a way, but at the same time, Hamashiach lets us know that when you come in and you come into this fold and you die and you put yourself in Hamashiach Yahawah, that you are going to be on some levels persecuted. You know, on some levels, you're going to go through things, even from your fellow brothers, because, you know, when you're walking in truth, that's just what it is. You know, truth shall always stand firm. And that's why it tells us in Matthew 7 about building your foundation on that rock and not wavering, you know, when the storm comes, because the storm is going to come. It is. It's a guarantee. You don't have to think, well, if I come into the truth, you think that you think this going to happen. No, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's 100% guaranteed, because you have to be tried. You have to be tested. You have to be an accepted man in a furnace of fire. You know, it's just going to be. That's how it has to be. He doesn't want anybody in the kingdom that has not shown that they're worthy, which he gave us a prime example in that man that got into the wedding, and he said, how did you get in here without any without your wedding attire? And the man didn't have no answer. And he said, look, get him out of here. Cast him out to outer darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. You know, but how was he able to get in there? He slipped through. Some way, somehow, he got into the wedding without his wedding garment on. You know, and you don't want to be that person. So if you have been awakened, if you have came into the truth, if you have been enlightened, all praises to the Most High. But I'm here to let you know that the storm is going to come. It just is. And it's a beautiful thing. At first, it may not feel that way. I'll be honest. At first, it didn't feel like that for me. I said, man, what is going on? But then when I continue to read and pick up the scriptures, James tells me, and he lets me know, count it all joy. I said, huh? What? What? James said, count it all joy. Everything that you go through, count it all joy. Why? Because he's working patience on you. He's working with you. He's allowing you to go through things. He's making you grow as a man. He's making you grow as a malak. He's making you grow as a person that may enter into the kingdom. You're not going to be the same man that you was when he finished with you. And count it all joy that he felt some type of way when he was creating those souls, that he chose you to be one that he would work with. Because it say many are called, but few are chosen. So, you know, and like I said, we can go to a lot of scriptures, Matthew 7, Matthew 13, Acts chapter 2, I mean, we can go a lot of different places, you know. But did you have anything, Brother Philip? I see you kind of turning and looking.
No, I'm just sitting back and thinking about what was said today.
Well, since I spoke on it, you know me, I always liked, if I speak on it, let me go to it. So since we spoke on it, I feel like I want to go to that Matthew 7 real quick. You can hit the button over there if it's dark. Matthew 7. And Matthew 7:24.
Okay. The book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 24. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came. And the winds blew and beat up upon that house, and it fell not.
It fell what?
It fell not.
Right. Go ahead.
For it was founded upon a rock.
See, and we know that rock is Hamashiach Yahawashi. Now, when we read the prophets, when we read the Torah, when we read the Tanakh, it lets us know that rock is who? The Most High Yahweh. But we know that the Most High, the Father, sent his only begotten Son in his name, right? So he's letting you know, if you build upon what the words, let me go back up. Verse 24 says, therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine. Now we know when Hamashiach came, he spoke the words of the Most High, that was given to him. How do we know this? Because when we read John chapter 12, you can go in there from 40s all the way down. When we read that, we know the very words that he spoke. The Most High gave him those words to speak. He said, I don't do nothing of myself, but only what the Father tells me and what I see him do, right? So right here in 24, he says, therefore, whosoever hear these sayings of mine and doeth them, I liken him unto a wise man who built his house upon a rock. Upon what rock? The Most High, because he has been sent from the Most High. So when you build on this rock, on this foundation, you building with Hamashiach Yahawashi, you're building with the Father himself. And this is why it says in 25, and when the rain descended, right, when that evil came, when that wicked came, the floods came, the winds came, and it blew and beat upon the house. Now, when it says house, for those who know Hebrew, the second letter in the alphabet of Hebrew is Ba, which is the B, right? When you look at that letter B or Ba or B-A, Ba, right? What does it say? It says the body within, and it has a little house with a little person in there, because usually it'll have like a little picture, right? Even when you go into the pictographic Hebrew, so it'll show a little house. I got it on my hat right here. Matter of fact, I got it on my thing. Let me see. I'll show you exactly where it is. Let me see. Which one is it to be? Oh, you wouldn't know. But it's right here where it say Ba Hashem at, right here. So it's right in here, right? It usually has a little man in there because it's talking about what? The body within. So that's the house. The house is you. And you have something inside of you, which is what? The soul, that spirit, the rakah that we speak about. This is the shell, which is the house, this flesh, this body, this vessel. But that thing in the inside is what we're trying to what? Nurture, bring out, walk in, be. And if you put this, what's in the inside, and you build that on the house, not on the house, but build that on the rock, then you could be able to subdue what the Most High was telling Cain to subdue what? The flesh and walk in the spirit. But you got to build everything on this rock, which is the Most High and his only begotten Son. And it says if you do that, and it fail not, for it was founded upon what? A rock. It's not going to fall. You can't fall. Like Paul said, who can be against us if we walking with the Most High Yahweh and Hamashiach Yahawashi? Who can be against us?
Bring it out.
When your Father is the creator of everything. And if you walking in righteousness like he told you to do, then he got your back. It may not seem like it at times. You might go through things. Things may come against you. You know, you may be, you may fall short. Things gonna happen. But like James said, count it all joy. Let me get that real quick. I got to get that because I keep saying that. James chapter 1. Right?
Verse 4.
Give it all at 1. Start at 1. Give it all to us.
The book of James, chapter 1, verse 1. James, a servant of the Most High, and of our master, Yahawashi HaMashiach,
all
to
praise.
the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. Greeting. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations.
So I got to listen to what James said. James said, count it all joy. And like I said, when I first heard that, I said, James is crazy. I don't know what he doing. What he talking about, count it all joy. All this stuff I'm going through. But he said, count it all joy. Why? Verse 3.
Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing.
Come on.
If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of the Most High, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him.
Go ahead.
But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not the man think that he should receive anything of the master. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
Keep going.
Let the brother of low degree rejoice in that he is exalted.
So the brother of a low degree, that brother of a low, not a high statue, not the one on top, huh? But the brother that's humble, poor, like you was bringing out earlier, meek. The brother of a low degree, the brother that will say, after people been backbiting him, murmuring at him, talking behind his back, the Most High heard it, and he still go to the Most High and say, like Hamashiach, don't lay this sin upon them. Just let them go. Right? I'm praying for them, like Hamashiach did when they was pointing at him, when they was murmuring at him, laughing at him, mocking him. What did he say? Father, forgive them. Forgive them, Father, for they don't know. They don't know. They don't know what it is that they're doing. And he's saying, forgive them. But we don't want to be of a low degree. We want to be of a high statue. And then it's going to tell you in verse 10 about that high statue man that you want to be so much. Go ahead, verse 10.
Verse 10. But the rich, in that he is made low, because as the flower of the grass, he shall pass away.
He shall what?
He shall pass away.
Yeah, that rich man, that exalted man, the man that's of a high degree, he going to die just like the low degree man. And when they both die, which one is going to be exalted? Which one is going to make it to the kingdom? Which one is going to be with the Most High? The one that was humble, the one that was meek, the one that was poor. And I'm not talking about poor where he ain't got no money. I'm talking about poor in the spirit, where he didn't have idols. He didn't let things hold him down, hold him back. Continue on.
Verse 11. For the sun is no sooner risen with a burning heat,
but
it wherewith wither the grass, the flower thereof falleth, and the grace of the fashion of it perisheth. So also shall the rich man fade away in his ways.
In a parable sense, letting you know that beautiful flower, like sometimes for me, I buy the wifey some roses, a bouquet of roses and things, and they look so beautiful and smell so beautiful when I bring them to her. A week later, they crusty. They don't fell all on the ground. They dark, it looked like it was never no life in them. Why? Because that's how the Most High is going to have us. You think you beautiful now. You think you on top now. You think you this, that, and the third at a high level. But he going to bring you down to what? A low level. And then we'll finish this off on, since I was talking about that temptation earlier, read 12 to 14, I think, 14, 15.
Verse 12. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the master hath promised to them that love him.
Which the master has promised to us that love him, the crown of life. Right? And that's what we in this for, to get that crown from the Most High and his only begotten son, Hamashiach Yahushua. Verse 13.
Verse 13. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of the Most High. For the Most High cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempted he any man.
Here it is right here, verse 14. Here it is.
Verse 14.
Go ahead.
But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed.
Now, I want you to think about that. When you say tempted, lust, enticed, somebody might say, well, they're just thinking them in a sexual aspect. No, you have to look at this as about hating your brother, bringing violence against your brother or sister, right? Because that evil that's inside of you is tempting you to do it. Before that brother, the video that we showed about the youngsters, before that brother pulled out the gun, it was an adrenaline rush. It was something going on in his body. And when your body has these rushes and things, it lets you know through science, we know this now, that something is let off in your brain, and it's called dopamine. And you can get what's the word I'm looking for? Addicted to it from that rush that you in. It's like getting on a roller coaster. And then you take that drop in that adrenaline rush. That's why people skydive and jump off of mountains and all of these things. but you're being tempted. You're being enticed. You may not think it, but you are. You have been drawn away from your own lust because that's what you want to do. Nowhere in the Bible does it tell you to do that. It actually speaks about not to commit murder on each other. But you're being led away, just like Cain was, through what? His own lust. Because he wanted something different. He's been enticed by who? Satan. Because he was a liar. So every time you go off, look at yourself in the mirror. It's not nobody else. It's you. You are your worst enemy because you are the one who's enticing your own self to go off. And when I realized that for myself, that's when I knew who the fight was with. The fight wasn't with nobody else out there. It was with my own self. As they say, I was my own worst enemy. That's why it says that the Most High can't be tempted because he know who he is. He walking in the light. He is the light. So any evil darkness try to come at him, he like, watch out. There's nothing you can do that's going to tempt me to make me come out the light and go into darkness. Never. But he say, but every man is tempted when he's drawn away of his own lust and enticed. So it's something inside of us. Verse 15, huh?
Verse 15. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin.
Uh-huh.
And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death.
Go ahead.
Do not err, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. Verse 18. Of his own will begat he us with the word of truth.
Go ahead.
That we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures.
And that's where we are. If you walking in the light, if you want to walk in the light, if you trying to walk in the light, this is why James up here in verse 2, I believe, where he says, count it all joy. Because if you walking in this, count it all joy. Because you will be kind of like what? That first fruit. Don't get me wrong, Hamashiach is the first. But you will be like his brethren. And that's why he called us his brethren, because we like his first fruits that did what he did down here on the earth. And then when you in the kingdom, you're going to be elevated just like the apostles and do other things, right? Because you are like that first fruit, those first creatures that did those things. That's why he say only certain people will make what? The first resurrection. Let's close out with this one. Revelation 21. I think it's Revelation 21. 20 or 21. Let me see. Where there'll be no murderers, no whoremongers. What verse is that? 8? 21.
Verse 8.
Con, bring it out.
Revelation chapter 21, verse 8. But
hold on. Start Shalakia. Hold on. Start at 7. It's important 7.
Revelation chapter 21, verse 7.
Go ahead.
He that overcometh shall inherit all things.
So we have to overcome. What do we have to overcome? Our flesh. You have to overcome that flesh. And we know that pride and anger, which leads to violence, wasn't made for man. So if you a violent man, if you a violent woman, if you committing acts of violence, you won't make it into the kingdom. You will not. This is why he states right here in verse 7, you have to overcome that violence. You have to overcome that anger. And I know it's hard because especially within our communities, we're pressed and pushed to be violent because you're not a man unless you can do this or do that, or you're not a young lady unless you act a certain way and talk a certain way, or you're not scared to do this. But those things are not righteous. Those things that we were taught were from Satan and they were evil, and our parents and our ancestors and uncles and aunties, they didn't know better. But now we know to walk in righteousness, we have to overcome our flesh to inherit what? All things. Go ahead, Ak.
Verse 7. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his most high, and he shall be my son.
God.
But the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, and
The who?
murderers.
The murderers. So if you a murderer out here shooting like those videos that we showed earlier, the young Hispanic brother that got shot down, you said about 5 months ago.
Correct.
And then the other brothers that just got killed like about a week or two ago. The videos that we show, if you didn't see the videos, you can go rewind the video and watch it again. It's in the video. So no murderers will get into the kingdom of heaven. So all of these young people that you see shooting at people and killing each other and all of these things, those young people, 16, 17, 15, they're not going to get into the kingdom. Those people are what on the earth? What are they? They are disobedient children, workers of wrath. They work for who? Satan. Go ahead, Op.
And whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which
And
is
people, go ahead,
the
Salaki. I'm
sec-
sorry. Go ahead.
which is the second death.
And people don't want to hear that. People have told me, "Oh, I don't read Book of Revelation because I don't want to hear about that fire and brimstone." Well, that's where you're gonna end up if you don't overcome. And he just said it right here: no whoremongers, no murderers, no sorcerers, no idolaters, no liars. So, people, get it together. You know, all of us, because we all still got work to do. I'm not dead. I'm not gone. Go ahead,
Right. So before we close out, my question to everybody else that's watching now or maybe in the future, I charge you guys with the task. Go back if you attend church or you have or you will, or maybe you still do. I ask you to ask those leaders of the congregation, why exactly is the world the way it is as we speak, right? And when you get that answer, drop it in the comment box. Let us know what's going on, because I haven't been to a church in many years, over 10 years. And I can read the scriptures and it tells me why the world is the way it is, right? And the solution. So I ask you guys to go ahead and ask those leaders that run the churches in the community why it is exactly the world is the way it is.
And like you said, I add to that same thing. Why is it like it is? Why is there a church on every corner, but nothing is changing? You know, why is there so many congregations, camps? There's more people coming into the truth, but what are we building? What are we doing? Are we truly building something up to come together, to have love for one another, or are we building separation by what camp are you in, or we don't deal with those brothers because they're not a part of this, or they have a different doctrine, or it's just more separation. The whole purpose when people come to the truth is that we found the truth. We found somewhere where we could be loved. We found somewhere where we can join together and truly learn and be one people. But what are we doing out here? So, you know, like I said earlier, the violence is not just actually pulling the gun out. It could be with words. This is why it says, by thy words, they should be justified, or shall they be condemned, you know? So there's many ways of violence. There's many ways of wrath, anger. We just pose that question to you, you know, and leave a comment, you know, let us know. If you have something you want to say, you have something that you want to discuss, contact us. We're more than welcome to get on here, go live and hash it out. But we're not here to debate. We're not here to, you know, make exalt one another and make, oh, we won. And that's not what this is about. If you want to win, you got it already, brother or sister or whoever. If you want to win, you already got it. You know, you don't need to come on here and try to debate to see if you can win and then post and be like, oh, you got it. I give it to you. You already got it. So whatever you want, you got it. You know, we just want to build one another and not tear down one another. That's all. That's what this platform is for, to build. That's why it's a brotherhood. And that's why it's Yasharallah Yakad for all 12 tribes. All 12. If you look at the tree the brother has as our symbol, you see Yasharallah at the top, the tree, the 12 that's in the middle with the book, right? Which is the book of what? The covenant, the book of the law, which is the Holy Bible. And Yakad means to unite, right? So it says Israel unite, which are the 12 tribes. And then on mine, it says Shema Yasharallah Yahawah Alahayanawa Yahawah Akkad, which means the Most High, He is one. And that's who we serve, our Father, the Most High, Yahweh. And we give honor to Him and glory to Him that He sent His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahawashi, to save us from the very pitfalls of hell of sin that we committed unknowingly and some knowingly. And we're thankful that He had mercy and compassion on us, as He did all the children of Israel. All He asks us for what? For us to humble ourselves. Give me that real quick as we close out. 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14. And I got my little one here, so I'm gonna let him read that as we close out. He been here the whole time, but he didn't read nothing. So I'm gonna let him read that one. 2 Chronicles 7 and 14. Let me put it on the screen though. Hold on. Just in case the people God, I got it. 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14. Go ahead.
If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves.
So if my people, which are called by my name, so he's talking about his people, the 12 tribes of Israel. Go ahead.
Shall humble themselves.
So we have to humble ourselves, like Moses was humble and meek, of a low estate, like the brother said, poor, right? Go ahead.
And pray.
What do we have to do?
And pray.
We have to pray. Go ahead.
And seek my face.
We need to seek the Most High Yahweh. That's one of the things that we need to do. Seek the Most High Yahweh. And what else do we have to do?
And turn from their wicked ways.
We have to turn from our wickedness, our violence, our anger, our rage. We have to turn from those things. And the Most High lets us know what?
Then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land.
There it is there. He will hear us from the heaven, Shemayim, and forgive their what? Sin. And that's what I love, that we have a forgiving, compassionate, loving Father, Most High. And hey, like I said, I give him all praises, honor, and glory. Call Halal Yahweh by Shabbat Mashiach Yahawashi and Kwam Yasharallah to the nation. And anything you got, brother, before we close out?
Just like the Ark was saying, I just want to give all praise to the Most High for even allowing me to be here, allowing me to have the Spirit and not take it away from me, right? I just want to give all thanks and give all praise to the Most High and to His Son, Hamashiach Yahawashi.
And like we say, hopefully it was edifying for you. We'll be back soon. And that's all we got for today. You got anything?
Kwam Yasharallah.
Kwam Yasharallah. Shalawam. Kwam Yasharallah. All praises be to the Father Yahweh and His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahawashi. And with that, Shalawam.